All right, you're on.
All right, good morning, everybody. We are on Daf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph, top line, top word. We left off discussing a case about taking a kli for the purpose of something which is muksa, right? There was a case that we had. There was for a chicken that laid an egg. To move a kli, we said you weren't allowed to go ahead and do it the normal way, put it underneath, but you can move it to on top of it, to cover it because it's considered to be a common damage, something which is mitsuya, and something which is more common. You're allowed to go ahead and protect that and save that on Shabbos. So we asked two kashas. We're going to ask three more, and then we're going to soon see some of these to continue. Let's get a little higher and I'll switch. Now, so Eisvei kaifin kara alaner shelo yachaz bekara. So we said, okay, we have a brayso that says one is allowed to go ahead and flip over a bowl on top of an air in order for the cover of the beam not to catch fire. Now, a beam is muksa, and this does not seem to be something which is common. So why are you allowed to move it for something which is uncommon? So the Gemara answer is, no, we're talking about houses with low ceilings that catch fire would be common practice. So to a beam that broke, you're allowed to go ahead and lean it upon bedposts or a couch. And once again, so why that's not common. So why are they able to go ahead and move items for that to move on the behalf of muksa items in the case that's not common? So the Gemara answers, no, we're talking about new beams which often go ahead and they do break, and therefore this is considered to be something which is mitsuya. And finally, Naisnin Kli Tachas Hadalaf B'Shabbos. So you're allowed to go ahead and take a kli and put it underneath a leak on the roof of a house. Now the leak is the water that drips in is dirty rainwater from the roof, which is not, you can't drink it because it's gross. And therefore it's muksa, right? Because there's no use for it in Shabbos. So why should you be allowed to go ahead and move a kli for that benefit? Once again, the Gemara answers. Now we're talking about newer homes that it hasn't really been weather proven yet, and therefore if it's leaking, then it is common practice. And since it's common practice, it's considered to be something which we described yesterday when Rabba was describing Rav Chizda Shita, that this is considered to be something which is Hatzala Mitsuya. So therefore Hatzala Mitsuya was permitted. So now, this all pertains to the opinion of Rav Chizda, who was the one who mentioned that you can go ahead and take a kli and move it and cover it, despite the fact that from our Mishnah seems to say you can't put a kli underneath dripping oil. So he said that's the difference because it was considered to be common. Now Rav Yosef says, something completely different. The rule by a kli is that you're not allowed to be mevatel a kli. There's no issue of moving a kli for something which is muksa. That's fine. Since something is not muksa, you can move it. It doesn't matter for what reason you move it. It's okay. But you can't be mevatel. You can't nullify a kli. What does that mean? It means that if you have a kli which becomes a basis, a kli which is holding something else, that itself now becomes muksa, right? You have your wallet and keys, on a plate before Shabbos. So that plate is muksa, right? However, so over here, we're talking about a case of if you go ahead and the egg, which is born on Shabbos or laid on Shabbos, and you put it in there, that's nolad, that's muksa. And since the kli is now holding the egg, it's considered to be muksa, right? Same like oil, right? You have, if it's dripping oil is muksa, and you put a kli underneath it, the oil goes in it, and therefore the kli is muksa. But if you take a kli and you just cover it, so you don't make it a bus, you don't make a muksa, therefore there wouldn't be an issue. So his sheet is that Rav Chizda holds that you're not allowed to be mevatel a kli from its use, right? That's called mevatel kli meheichana. Now, so Eisvei, now we're going to ask all the five kashas that we just asked the other way. So let's see. Eisvei, abai chavit shel tevel shenishbra mevi kliacher menech tachtel. If you have a barrel and it's holding tevel, and all of a sudden, we said earlier tevel is muksa because there's no use of it on Shabbos. So, because you can't eat or drink because you have to take Trumas Amaisus, you're not allowed to take Trumas Amaisus, so therefore it's muksa. So how could you go ahead and take another kli and save the contents of the barrel if you're being now mevatel the new kli, because the new kli is now going to become muksa from holding all the tevel. Samarlei tevel muchanu eitzel Shabbos shim aver v'zikna mesukan. Tevel is actually considered to be mukhan. It's not necessarily muksa. Why? Because one goes ahead and violates the rules of Shabbos of not taking trumas or meiser, and he does on Shabbos. It's considered to be mesukan, and one would be able to go ahead and eat food. So it's not necessarily muksa. Then we said nice and kli tachas haner lekavla nitzotzos. How can you go ahead and put a kli underneath sparks? L'char, that's muksa. So, and you're being mevatel the kli when it's catching the sparks. Some ravuna b'reidav Yeshua nitzotzos ain't behem mamash. Right, the nitzotzos, the sparks, aren't really anything, right? It's not holding anything. So therefore, the kli is not considered a muksa because it's not holding sparks. It's just sort of like protecting other areas from the sparks, but it's not considered to be holding sparks. So to a beam that is broken, you're allowed to go ahead and put it on a couch or legs. So I understand if you put it on the couch, the couch is now supporting the beam, which is muksa, or the bedpost. So the Gemara says, no, he only supports it loosely, that if one wants to go ahead and pull out the couch or the bedpost, so therefore it's not considered to be muksa because you're able to, I guess, move those out. Because you want to go ahead and move it, you would be able to pull it away. And nicely, kli tachas adlaf, one is able to go ahead and put a kli underneath dripping water from the roof. So the question is, how could you do that? The dripping water is muksa because it's gross and nothing you can do with it. So how could you go ahead and take a kli that was perfectly usable on Shabbos and now put it underneath something which is now holding disgusting water? That should be aser. So our answer is, Bedel Harui, we're talking about rainwater that was not dirty, right? We're talking about rainwater that was clean rainwater, and therefore it is drinkable. And therefore, since it's drinkable, so therefore it's not considered to be muksa. And kaifin is the salifnei afreichin. You're allowed to go ahead and turn over a basket in front of chicks in order, I guess, for them to hop up and to hop to their nest. She'alu v'yardu, to go up and down. So how could you do that if the chicks are on it? It's muksa. So how could you go ahead and make this and make this basket now make it muksa? So ksaver motor l'taltala. So he says, excuse me, so he says no, because once they go ahead and you're allowed to go ahead and use the basket, it's not usher. Right? It's not muksa. So the Gemara says, "I've hatani." We learn in Brisa asur taltalo. It is asur, the basket that you turn over for the chicks, because the chicks you have no use at Shabbos is muksa. The Gemara says, "B'yodan alav." Says no. When the chicks are still on the basket, yes, then it's considered to be muksa. But once the chicks, if they hop on and then hop off, then it would be mutter. So I've hatani afal pishein aydin alav asur. We another Brisa that says even though the chicks are no longer on the basket's considered to be asur. Some Rav Huna, but Aidan alav kol ben hashmashos. New rule coming up. No, it means that even if they're not on it, only if they're on it all ben hashmashos. So we describe ben hashmashos as the time when Shabbos starts, right? Sometime between Shkia and Seis throughout the entire time, whether it's one moment or it's 3/4 of a mil, whatever we discussed earlier. But if something is if the chicks are on this basket as Shabbos starts, so therefore during the entire Zman of Ben Hashmashos, so therefore when Shabbos starts, that's how we look at the kelim, what's usable, what's not. And since the chicks were on it the entire Ben Hashmashos, so therefore the basket was muksa the entire Ben Hashmashos, and we say since something is muksa for Ben Hashmashos, it's in muksa the entire day. So it's a new rule. A new rule we have by Shabbos is something which is muksa during Ben Hashmashos, even if that which was on it, right, has no longer there, it's considered to be muksa, right? Which is, so this would be different. In other words, let's say Ben Hashmashos, we describe, let's say is, 13 and a half minutes, right? So if a chick was on a basket for those 13 and a half minutes, then that basket is muksa for the entire Shabbos. That would be different than, let's say, the basket, no chicks are on it, and then an hour later, chicks are on it for 5 hours or the entire night. The next morning, there's no chicks on it. It's not muksa anymore. It just makes a difference if it was on it during the time of Ben Hashmashos, right? If it was on it during Ben Hashmashos, or while they're on it later on, even if they weren't on a Ben Hashmashos, then it's muksa. Otherwise, it's not mutter to take. So Amr Rabbi Yitzchak, Kashem Shein Naisen and Kli Tachas Tarnagolas the Kala Beitzasa. Now comes Rabbi Yitzchak and argues with Rav Chizda. Rav Chizda was talking in Mishnah. Says Rav Chizda. It says Rabbi Yitzchak. Just like we said, you can't go ahead and put a bowl underneath an egg in order to catch the egg if it lays an egg on Shabbos. So too, you can't go ahead and take a kli and cover it. Why is that? You're only allowed to move something, a kli, for the purpose of something which can be touched on Shabbos. Now, since an egg is muksa on Shabbos, therefore I can't go ahead and move something for the benefit of that muksa item. So we asked all these different kashas. We had all the brises we had before, right? The one that says you're allowed to go ahead and catch the tevel, and the one you're allowed to go ahead and catch the rainwater, right? And the one that says you can go ahead and support the posts or anything was broken. So we see all these cases. Vishani, all these cases, he says, you're right. Normally you can't go ahead and move the item for behalf of the muksa. But this was talking about a case of b'tzarich lim kaimo. Here comes a new concept when it comes to muksa, right? There's a concept of tzarich lim kaimo. If you need the space of where the muksa items, certain muksa items are permitted to move at some cases. If you're allowed to move the item, once you're moving the item, you can move it for something which is even a muksa. In other words, so since I'm allowed to go ahead and move this bowl, right, I can then go ahead and move the bowl under the dripping rainwater, even though the dripping rainwater is muksa, right? And I normally wouldn't allow to move a bowl for the benefit of something muksa, but since I was already allowed to go ahead and move it because I had this heter of tzarich lim kaimo, because I needed the space of where the bowl was. Let's say the bowl was, we're on your Shabbos table where you're supposed to have your meal, and you was allowed to move it. So therefore, it would be mutter to go ahead and move it. So Toshma, come and listen. Achas beisa shenoda b'Shabbos, v'acha beisa shenoda b'Yontif, ein metalton leichas b'zakli, v'lismach b'karamita, v'kaifala kli b'shvil shalot tishaber. So what do you mean? We said whether it's an egg that was born on Shabbos or late on Shabbos, or an egg that was born late on Yontif, you can't go ahead and take it, right? And you can't cover it, and you can't go ahead and use it, I guess, right? You can't crack an egg if you, squeeze from the two opposite ends, from the top and the bottom. And you can't go ahead, I guess these, you want to even out your bed, you put a raw egg, right, underneath it because, it won't break if it's the top and bottom. You can't use it to support anything, but you can go ahead and take a utensil in order and cover it, it won't break. So over there, how could you go ahead and move the utensil on behalf of the egg, which is muksa? So once again, Goran says, over there, no, you're allowed to move the utensil because you needed the space. So Toshma, come and listen. Porsin machzelas al gabi avanim b'Shabbos. You're allowed to go ahead and take a sheet and cover up stones on Shabbos. So how can you move a sheet for Shabbos? For the stones? Stones are muksa. You shouldn't be allowed to move non-muksa items for muksa items. So our answer is the avanim mekur lazos. Mukurzalos. We're talking about smooth stones, which can be used for one goes to the bathroom, right, to clean himself afterwards or to help him go to the bathroom. So since these stones are not muksa, they're usable on Shabbos, therefore it's not. You're okay to go ahead and cover these stones with a sheet. The chazan the basic key because they're usable for the bathroom. So Tashma, come and listen. Shabbos. So you're allowed to go ahead and cover up bricks. Now, obviously, you cannot. Bricks are too large. You cannot use it for the bathroom. So there's no use for bricks. So how could you go ahead and cover up bricks on Shabbos? So our answer is no, they're left over from building, and therefore, basically, they're good to go ahead and lounge upon or to sit upon, and therefore, it would be mutter. So Tashmak, listen, person machzal salgabe kiveres devar b'Shabbos. So the Gemara says, so you're allowed to go ahead and cover up, right, with a mat or a sheet on top of a beehive. Why? On Shabbos. So for the sun, as it's too hot, there's too hot there. And so you want to protect the bees, so you can go ahead and cover up and protect from the sun. Or if it's rainy, you can cover up from the rain. Now, isn't it muksa? Right, now, but you should just have in mind not to go ahead and trap the bees, because if you cover it up, you're not allowed to trap on Shabbos, right? That's one of the halachas to trap, so you shouldn't trap it. So why over here that to use it? So it's muksa. How could you move a sheet for something which is muksa like a beehive? So our answer is the ika devash. There's honey, and since the honey's there, it's not considered to be muksa, right? It's usable on Shabbos, so you can go ahead and take the honey. Okay. So he said during the summer, he said it was during the summer, during the winter, during the summer because of the sun, during the winter because of the rain. So I understand during the summer, that's when there's honey in the beehives, right? Dika, turn the page. Dika, devash. However, during the winter, the lack of devash, but in the winter when there is no honey, what are you going to say then? So this is not no, the two chalas. Now the way the beehives work, I guess there were different, wafers or different parts of honeycombs, right, in the beehive, and they always leave the last two. So even when they empty out, they leave the last two in order to keep the bees attracted there. So the bees don't all leave, because if there's no honeycombs there, then all the bees will leave. So since you always leave, in terms of sales, you always leave two honeycombs. So therefore, right, so there still is there still is honey there by these two bottom honeycombs. So since the two bottom honeycombs, it's not considered to be muksa because there still is usable even in the winter. So why aren't they muksa? Right, that it's something that you can't take, right? Because you just said you can't use them, right? So why can you go ahead and cover it? So it says over there, no, because he over here where he planned on using it on Shabbos. So where it says but if he wasn't thinking about it to use it, aser, it would be aser to cover on Shabbos. If that's the case, that which it gave the Brisa gave a condition says you can cover it up as long as you don't intend to trap them. So why don't you say put another condition? Only when you go ahead and you think, hey, I'm not going to go ahead and when you have to think about it, I want to use it only, right? The condition should be A, don't intend to trap the bees, and B, I need to go ahead and want to use it on Shabbos. But if he did not go ahead and consider using it for Shabbos, then it'll be aser. So it's coming to teach us. So it must be that even though, right, that is aser. So it says no, even though that he thought about him, so, and then, however, he thought that even though he didn't think about it, right? So excuse me, but even if he thought to use it, right, and he wants to go ahead and use it on Shabbos, which is one of the conditions we established, nevertheless, he still has to make sure not to trap the bees. So whose opinion is this? Amani. Who is the author of this Mishnah? Rabbi Shimon. If it's Rabbi Shimon, how could it be him? Leslie Muksa. Right, he doesn't hold a muksa. For him, it's not a big deal because the honeycomb, right, it will not be muksa at all because Rabbi Shimon, based in most circumstances, does not hold a muksa. And Rabbi Huda, if it's Rabbi Huda, ki kol mischavi my havi. I understand, even if it's Rabbi Huda was the author of the Mishnah who holds a muksa. So how could you say here, as long as you don't intend, right, you don't have kavanah to trap. And even if you trap them, as long as you don't have kavanah to do it, well, that's called something which we saw in the previous blot. That's called something which is a davar shemis kavi. Right, that's something you didn't intend, and the davar shemis kavin, according to Rabbi Huda, is aser. It will be forbidden. So even if you had intentions not to trap them, if you trap the bees, even though you didn't intend to, it's still aser. So how could he say as long as you didn't intend to trap it? So the answer is Rabbi Huda. It is Rabbi Huda. Umay b'vachle is kavin. It doesn't mean that we say that as long as you don't have the intentions to trap. Shelo yasena k'matsuda. No, it doesn't mean you should have intentions to trap. It means you can't trap. No, you should leave over some space. Right? No, you should go ahead and leave space in order that they're able to get out. So in other words, yes, you can go ahead and cover it with a sheet as long as you leave room for the bees to go ahead and be able to get out. So tell me, Mila, to get around. Rashi Omar. So Rashi says, going on this brisa, miktani b'moisachama. Right, we said of there, where during the winter, where is the honey? So he said, the last two combs, and he has to think about using it on Shabbos. So he says, miktani b'mosachama. Does it say you're allowed to cover it in the summer and in the winter? It says bechama. It just says the sun, right? Right, during the sun. Right, when the sun is out to cover the sun, and when it's raining from the rain. So Katani, both of them are. So when is that? B'mei Nisan and B'mei Tishrei. That's during the months of Nisan and Tishrei in the fall and in the spring. Right, Deika Chama, Veika Geshama, Veika Dabash. When you have all three present, right? You have sun, right? You have rain, and then you also have honey. So in other words, yes, during these times, since there is honey, it's not muksa at all, and therefore you don't have to come on to the thing, to that which we said. In other words, he was chishev on them, or he was thinking about them to use them for Shabbos, or he wasn't, because obviously there's still honey there because it's during the spring or the fall. It's not during the winter, and therefore it's not considered a muksa. Therefore, it would be permitted to go ahead and cover it, and because that's the reason why you're allowed to take a sheet. However, make sure you do not trap the bees. So Amar Luhu Rav Sheshes Voku. So Rav Sheshes says, go out, v'amru leila Rabbi Yitzchak, and go tell Rabbi Yitzchak, kavar targimi Rav Huna l'shmaisecha, b'bavel. That Rav Huna is already explaining the halacha like you, Rav Yitzchak. In other words, what? Dam Rav Huna, oisin mechitza lemeis b'shvil chai, ve'ein oisin mechitza lemeis b'shvil meis. You're allowed to go ahead and use a sheet, right, for a live person, right? But you can't go ahead and make a partition for a mace. In other words, that which you say you can make a partition, you can only do it for a person who's alive who's not muksa. But a mace, right? A mace is considered to be something which is muksa, and you would not be able to go ahead and do something on behalf of something which is muksa, right? So you can't go ahead and use a kli for something which is muksa. Now it's the more machmer opinion. Mahi, and where do you see that's the teaching?
Wait, question for you, Rabbi.
Yeah.
If on Shabbos a mace appears or someone passes away on Shabbos, are you saying you can't cover the body?
Right now, that's what the Gemara is saying. We'll soon see how the Gemara ends up.
Right.
That's what we're saying. In other words, you have to do a little trick, as we're about to see. So mace hamoto b'chamo. So let's say you have a body that passed away and it's in the sun. So ba'im shnei b'nei adam. So how do you go ahead and cover the mace? Right? You have to go ahead and cover the mace. It's not good to be in the sun. So what should they do? So ba'im shnei b'nei adam v'yeshim mitzido. So two people should come, sit down on the ground next to it. So b'tzido cham lohem. Now once they're sitting on the ground, they say, oh, the ground is hot. So what do? So milamata. Each one brings a mattress and puts it underneath them. So they each sit on a mattress, and there's a mace in between them. Now, he says, "Oh, well, now even though we're sitting on the ground, our bottoms aren't hot, but the sun is now beating down on our head. So what do? So they bring a mat, right, or a sheet, right, and they cover themselves. In other words, they cover themselves like a sun umbrella, right? And what do? Porcelain, and they hold it over each other. So what do? They say, oh, here's what we'll do. I'll flip over my mattress on its side, right? And you flip over your mattress on the side, and we'll hang the sheet on there, and we'll be under the sheet. So each one does that, and each one sneaks out. Vanim says, it turns out that they didn't go ahead and build it because they first had the sheet above, and it's not a problem of baina, because normally the whole problem of building is when you go ahead and build walls and then you put a structure on top. But over here they had the structure above them because they're holding the mat, and then they flipped over the mattress so it was now supporting the sheet. And then once they had that, then they don't want to sit on the ground anymore, so they left. And now all that was left there was the corpse underneath the sheet, which was protecting it from the sun. So, but in other words, you can't go ahead and just take a sheet and cover a corpse, right, to protect it from the sun, but rather you have to go ahead and sit down first and do these other sort of tricks in order to use to protect yourself from the sun, because you yourself is not muksa. Now, so meis hamuta b'chama. So this is actually machlokes Amoraim. So if you have a mesa corpse that was in the sun, Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel says, Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel, hufchu mita l'mita. You can go ahead and move it from bed to bed until you can put it in a secure place. In other words, you can roll it from one bed to the other. Rav Chanina bar Shlamiyah mishmei derab Amar meniach alav kikar or tinag. You can go ahead and put a loaf on it, or a child, a non-muksa item. And therefore, since you have something which is supporting a muksa item or non-muksa item, it's not considered to be muksa. And then therefore, you can go ahead and carry it. In other words, you don't have to go ahead and move the corpse, roll it from one, let's say, bed to the other until you get to the place. Rather, you can go ahead and lift the bed where the corpse is on if you have something not muksa on it, such as a loaf of bread or a child. And then you move it to the area where you want to secure it, because you're allowed to move it with the loaf upon it. Now, the kikaratina where you have to go ahead and whether you have a loaf or a baby, everyone agrees, right? That's mutter. So keep pligi de leslay. Okay, what in a circumstance when you have no other non-muksa object? So mar saver tilta min atzad shmei tilta. So one holds your lot is considered to be tilta min atzad. If you roll something in the non-ordinary way, it's still considered to be moving it. It'll be aser. Or mar saver lo shmei tilta. Another one says no, it's not considered to be moving an object, carrying an object, and therefore you would be allowed to go ahead and basically move it in an abnormal way. So leima kitanai. Let's say it's machlokes tonight. One is not allowed to go ahead and let's say there is a fire, God forbid, on Shabbos, and there's a mace. One is not allowed to go ahead and move the mace from the fire. So, and Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish, Shamati Shematzilas Ameis Mibnei Deleka. And Rabbi Yehuda says, Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish, no, I heard that one is allowed to go ahead and save the mace from the fire. Now, Hechidan, what's the case? If there is a child or a loaf of bread or something that's movable, so my time of the Tanakama. What's the reason for the Tanakama? Right, the Tanakama holds that you can go ahead. You're not allowed to move it. So why would you be allowed to move it? You can move it in a regular case. Certainly, if there's a fire, you should be allowed to move it by having the baby or the loaf on top of the mattress. And if you don't have a loaf or anything non-muksa, my time of the Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish. What's the reason for Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish says you're allowed to move it? So elalav, rather must be what's the machlokes here? B'tilum and atzad. Rather, you want to go ahead and move it by way of moving it abnormal ways, such as rolling the mace from one mattress to another. So pligi the mar saver tiltum and atzad shmei tilto. The one holds that moving in this way is considered to be tilto. Well, mar saver the one holds no lo shmei tilto is not considered to be tilto. And the Gemara says no lo. Dekuli alma tiltum and atzad shmei tilto. Everyone holds that even moving something in an abnormal way is considered moving it. So why in this case are you allowed to go ahead and move it? The reason is Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish is the mitoich she'adam bahul hameso. Since a person, right, he has a lot of feelings, right, and he's very concerned and distraught over his relative for his mace. So Eloi sharisle, if we don't allow him to go ahead and move the mace, asi lechibuya, he's going to go ahead and put out the fire. So therefore, in order to prevent a deraisa such as putting out fire, therefore we allow one to not violate muksa, but we permit one, there is no muksa in this case, to go ahead and move the mace. And Amar Rabbi Yehuda ben Shilo, Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yechon, halak Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish b'mace. As like Rabbi Yehuda ben Lakish when it comes to mace, that one would be allowed to go ahead and move a mace because a mace, a person is very distraught over a mace, and therefore we permit derabbanans in order to avoid violating deraisas. And finally, we said earlier, we said the case back in the Mishnah, right, which you saw on Friday. The Mishnah was discussing one who had a bowl underneath a lamp and it was dripping oil, and even one moved there before Shabbos. However, you can't go ahead and use that oil because it was not considered, or it was dripping there on Shabbos. Even if you moved it there before Shabbos, but it's dripping there, you would not be able to use it because that oil was not usable for before Shabbos. It was not prepared. It was not set aside to use on Shabbos because he thought it was going to be burnt. So Taner Rabbanan Ma'aser Hashem and Shebener Shebekara Aser says the Tanakama, the leftover oil, right, in the candle or the bowl is Aser because that was supposed to be used on Shabbos. And Rabbi Shimon Matin, Rabbi Shimon says is mutter because Rabbi Shimon holds that even though it was not set aside, it's not considered a muksa because as we've seen earlier, that Rabbi Shimon is his opinion is lax when it comes to the laws of muksa, and therefore he would say it would be mutter.
So, Naya Mishnah.
I'm just going to go ahead and transfer. It should be okay. I'm at 41%. I'll just take this now. I'll get off the couch.
Yeah, real quickly, based on the maskana, the Gemara here, for the tiltum in atzad is only mutter in the case of a mace, though, right? In other cases, it's not mutter, right?
Right. Well, right. So it appeared to be that right. The Gemara did say kuli alma tiltum in atzad shmei tiltul, right? So it did sound like that would be the case. That any sort of usage, right, or any sort of moving would be, even if it's not the normal way of moving, would be moving, right? As opposed to like different malachas, right? Because maybe that's derabans. When it comes to different malachas, I mean, there are ways of doing malachas kalachar yad.
Right.
But when it comes to a tiltul, which is a derabanan, right, which is something which is muksa, then does not seem that even if it's minatzad, it wouldn't necessarily, according to this, right?
Except in the case of a mace.
Right, but the case of the mace, I think they can say you can even move it the normal way.
Because
the other chavul mesa. Right.
Okay.
Right. All right, Mishnah. So now Mishnah says metaltlin ner chadash of aloyash. Now we're going to once again discussing different cases of muksa. So one is metaltlin ner chadash. One is allowed to go ahead and use a new candle. Now, what is different between a new candle and an old candle? A new candle is not gross yet. The candles in those days, we'll soon see another case, but generally candles were made of ceramic or clay, earthenware, and become gross after they're used even once, and become grimy. And therefore, so a new candle, which is not disgusting, metalta ner chadash, avalo yashan, right? But you can't go ahead and not one that was used. So as long as it's not disgusting, then it's mutar on Shabbos. And Rabbi Shimon Aimer kol haneros metalton chutz min haner hadolek b'Shabbos. Says Rabbi Shimon, no, any candles are mutar to use as long as they're not, as long as while they're not lit, right? Anything which is not lit, hadolek b'Shabbos, which is lit on Shabbos. So something which is lit on Shabbos is muksa, but he says if it was not burning, right, then it would be able to move even if it once was upon a time, and therefore this is something called, right, muksa machmas mius, right? Muksa machmas mius, muksa is something that comes from mius. So in other words, the Tanna Kama holds that muksa machmas mius is muksa, is no good. Why? Because it says you can't use an old candle. According to Rabbi Shimon, he does not hold a muksa machmas mius, muksa for something which is disgusting, right? You know, the Chazal says certain things that, you know, they want to go ahead and keep the sanctity of Shabbos. And one of the things was basically keeping things that were disgusting, not permitted on Shabbos. Nevertheless, so Rabbi Shimon does not hold to that. Fine.
Well, we said before that Rabbi Shimon doesn't even hold by muktzah.
Right, and so over here he says,
he
says, so we have to understand.
That's a form of muktzah.
So let's see why we have to see why Rabbi Shimon says a ner while it's lit is usher. All right, true. Now let's see in the Gemara we're going to actually have a brisa. That was two opinions. We actually have a brisa with four opinions. Let's see. So Tanu Rabbanan metaltlan ner chadash of a lo yashan diva Rabbi Huda. Right, you're allowed to go ahead and use a new candle and not an old candle, and this seems to be the exact Tanna Kama of ours, right? That which is diva Rabbi Huda. That's the opinion of Rabbi Huda. And then Rabbi Meir Omer. Now comes a new opinion. We do not have Rabbi Meir in our Mishnah. Here comes the opinion of Rabbi Meir Omer. Kol haneros metaltalin chutz min haner shehi liku bo b'Shabbos. You're allowed to go ahead and use all candles. Okay. Now, even if it was lit before Shabbos, it was lit on Friday, and then, or let's say it was lit on Thursday, and it went out on Thursday, so it was already gross, right? And it was not lit since. You're allowed to use on Shabbos. In other words, Rabbi Meir does not hold of muktzah machmas mius. He doesn't care if it's disgusting. There's no such thing. Rabbi Meir holds no such thing. But if it was lit on Shabbos, now let's say it was lit on Shabbos the night before, and he wants to use it the next day while it's out, it's usher. Why? That's called muktzah machmas iser, right? Muktzah because at one point in time it was usher. Since it was usher, so from the night before, therefore the next day it's also usher. So now Rabbi Shimon, Aimer, chutz min haner hadolik b'Shabbos, except for a candle while it's burning on Shabbos. In other words, muktzah machmas mius, he doesn't care about. Muktzah machmas iser, if it was once upon a time usher earlier because it was lit, that's fine. While there's no problem. It says while it's lit, it's usher. Kavsa, if it goes out, mutar l'taltala, then it's mutar to take it out. Aval, but kos v'karav ashishis. But let's say not just a nair, that was about a nair, but when it comes to a larger kos, like a cup or a bowl, right, or like a lantern, something which is larger, holding the oil, lo yaziza mimkaima, you can't move them. Those are muksa. We have to soon understand what this means, right? And like Eddie pointed out, what do you mean? I thought Rabbi Shimon often does not hold of muksa. Why does in this case usher? So now, in the case while it's lit, I understand because maybe while it's lit, I could violate kibui. I can violate going ahead, and if I take the oil out, then I will go ahead and extinguish the fire while it's lit. Therefore, that's an isser. So therefore, to prevent an isser, I understand. But just to say it will be us in this case, why does he say close to karo shishis? You can't move it. Now comes a fourth and final opinion. The Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, Aimer, mistafik minaner hachaba. He says he's even more makel than Rabbi Shimon. He says you're allowed to go ahead and take oil from a candle that's going out. Since it's going out, okay, it doesn't need the oil anymore. I can take it out. And even oil that's dripping. If you even take oil that's dripping from a candle while the candle is still lit, is mutter to go ahead and take that oil. So in other words, he is the most makel of all opinions when it comes to Shabbos. Now, Amar Rabbi, Rabbi Eliezer, Rabbi Shimon, Savar lekavua bechado paliga bechado. He holds like his father, Rabbi Shimon, in one case, and he argues him in another. Savar lekavua the bechado paliga bechado. Savar lekavua bechado the less like muksa. In other words, he doesn't hold of muksa. In general terms, he doesn't hold of muksa. Paliga bechado, but he argues with his father when it comes to the oil. The usage of oil while the candle is lit. If the fire went out, then you could take the oil. But if it's still lit, you can't use the oil. Rabbi Shimon holds, even if it wasn't put out, then you wouldn't be allowed to go ahead and use it. All right. Now, then the Brisa says about but a cup, right, a bowl, or a shisha, the lantern, you couldn't go ahead and take them even after it goes out. So, my shnahani, why are these different? So, Amar Ula, Seifa Aslan Rabbi Yehuda. So, the Seifa must be like Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda holds that since at one point in time, they were holding something which was Aser, the oil while it was burning. So, therefore, he holds of Muksa Machmas Isser, and therefore it's Aser. So, he wants to ask about Marzutra, Ihachi, my Aval. Why does it say Aval? First of all, Rabbi Yehuda was the Tanakama, was the first part of the Brisa, right? When it says Metalta Nechad V'lo Yashan Divi Rabbi Yehuda. Second of all, why would it say, but a kos and a karashishis you can't move? What do you mean? According to Rabbi Yehuda, all things, even an air, you can't move after it goes out. Mayaval. So Elo Amar Zutra L'Yoel and Rabbi Shimon. It is really part of the statement of Rabbi Shimon. The Kikshari, Rabbi Shimon, when did Rabbi Shimon mater v'ner zuta, with a small candle which is only expected to burn for a little bit. The daitela, because his mind was, this is going to be useful for me. After the light goes out, it's going to burn for 2 hours, and once the light goes out after 2 hours, I'll be able to use it. But a lantern or cover, a bulb, perhaps that was expected to burn the entire Shabbos, and he did not have any expectations to use it, and suddenly it goes out. So therefore, once it's something which is, surprising to him, right? It was unexpected. Therefore, that is still not usable, according to Rabbi Shimon. Bahani, the Nefishi, but those which are larger, you want to be able to do it. I Vatanya, Meiser Hashem and Shebener Shevkara Aser. The Rabbi Shimon matter. We have somewhere else that says that the leftover oil from the Ner Kara is Aser, and Rabbi Shimon says Mutter. So the Gemara answers no. Hasam Kara Dumin the Ner. Over there, when it said over there the bowl, it really was referring to a small bowl. It was similar to the size of an Ner. And Hachab over here Kara Dumin the Kos. Over here, we're talking about a bowl that was much larger, the size of a cup, which was expected to learn the entire Shabbos. So in other words, no, it's not a stira. Oh, that which we said, the leftover oil is only from a smaller candle, which was not supposed to burn the entire time, but something that a person did not assume that he was going to be able to use because it was a larger size. Therefore, that would be usher to go ahead and use on Shabbos, even according to Rabbi Shimon. So Rabbi Shimon does hold of different concepts of muksa, such as one did not expect to use it on Shabbos and machmas isser, and therefore that would remain to be usher. And Amr Rab Zera, says Rab Zera. Yeah, says Rab Zera. Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
According to Rabbi Shimon, if you can't move, if you can run.
Is this me or is everyone hearing us slow? I can barely hear you.
Yigal, your phone is messed up.
Yeah, your internet is slow.
I said next.
Oh, now you sped up. All right, fine. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it.
What? Okay. So
I'm Rab Zera.
So now we're saying that Rabbi Shimon does hold by
certain cases, right? I mean, he is more mako than Rabbi Yehuda. But certain cases, there is concept correct.
Right.
I'm Rab Zera. Pamot sheliku bo b'Shabbos ledivrei hamatir aser ledivrei oiser mutter. So pamot is basically a metal menorah shomoteches, as Rashi says. So in other words, it's made of metal. It does not get disgusting from oil. You just wash it off. So even if it was once used upon a time, it does not get disgusting, does not get gross. And therefore, you don't have the issue of muksa machmas mius. So it says over here, according to the one who says mutter before, will be aser. The one who said according to Rabbi Shimon before, this would be aser. Right, and the divrei oiser. Now we're in the one who says it's aser by Rabbi Yehuda, who says normally in the case of ceramics because it is disgusting, would say mutter in this case. So the Gemara doesn't understand. Lememra to Rabbi Yehuda muksa machmas mius islay muksa machmas isser less. I understand according to what you're saying. Rabbi Yehuda might say, okay, yeah, it doesn't. it's not gross anymore, so therefore it's not muksa machmas miyos, but there's still a problem muksa machmas isser. Once it's lit on Shabbos, it should remain to be asr on Shabbos because of the isser, because of once the lit candle was on it, it should be asr. Hatani is learned Bryce. Rabbi Yehuda Amir Kol Neir Shamatechel Matalton Chutzman and Neir Shadliku Baba Shabbos. Rabbi Yehuda says any metal candles are mutter to move on Shabbos, except for if it was already lit on Shabbos. So if it was already lit on Shabbos, so obviously he holds a muksa machmas iser. Sala itmar achitmar. Rather, you say like this: Amar Reb Zera Pamot Shiliko Love Shabbos. If you have something that was burnt on Shabbos, Divra Kol Lo Yiliko. Everyone holds that you can't go ahead and use it. It's Aser. Divya called Aser. Why? Because his muksa machmas iser when Shabbos started. And lo yidik, but if it was not lit, then Divya called mutter. Everyone holds his mutter because then it is not gross. And Amar Rav Yehuda, two lines in the bottom. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav, Mita sheyichda lamos asel taltala. One who goes ahead and he has a bet, and he sets it aside. I'm going to go ahead and put my money. Right? People put money in the walls, right? They bury it in the ground. He puts it in his bed. This is going to be my money bed, right? He puts his money in his bed, so he designates a mita for money. Asr l'taltala. This bed is now asr l'taltala, even if the fact if he doesn't go ahead and put it in, right? The mere designation. So Meisvi Asukasha Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak metaltal near chodesh v'lo yosh. We said one is allowed to go ahead and be metaltal, move a new candle, but not one that was already lit. In other words, even something that was already designated to use as a candle, i.e. it was made as a candle, you're allowed to go ahead. It's not muksa unless it was already used. So we see by a candle it has to be used at least once to be asr. Otherwise it's mutter. The mere designation is nothing. And we just said, right? We just said that if you designate a mattress, right, whose use normally is for lying down, if you use that as to storage money, then it's muksa. So more questions. Uma ner de avide. One second. A candle which is not normally made for this reason. Kilo hilig ba shar the taltala. And even if you don't go ahead and light it, it's mutter. So mita delav hachavida. So a bed which is not only made for holding money, so low kosher, and certainly should be obvious that in order for a bed, right, or a mattress to be muksa, you should already have to at least once upon a time used it for the purpose of holding money. So elo itamar achitamar. Rather, you want to say this like this: Amar Rav Yehuda Amarav mita sheyachta lamos. If a bed was designated to hold money, if once you go ahead and you put money in it, then it's asr. It makes it now a piggy bank, right? Just whether or not the money was taken out before Shabbos doesn't make a difference. It's now called a piggy bank. Or also taltala, but if it was just designated and never put to use, there was never money in it, then mutul talta, it would be mutar on Shabbos. Now, next case, lo yachda, if he never designated it, in other words, he was just a regular mattress. Lo yachta lamos, yesh lamos. If it goes ahead and there's money on it on Shabbos, then it's aser. Asr taltala. Ein lamos, but if he didn't designate it and there's no money on Shabbos, even though there might have been money in it before Shabbos, because it wasn't designated for its usage, but it was taken out before Shabbos. Ein lamos, mutal taltala. And the Gemara says on this, v'hu shaloi haya olav ben hashmashos. Only as long as it was ben hashmashos. In other words, even if it wasn't designated, but there was money on it during ben hashmashos, then it would be muksa all of Shabbos, because we had the migu before, which said since something was muksa during ben hashmashos, it's muksa all of Shabbos. But if it was not designated and there was money on it for 3 days, for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and he took it out on Friday, then it's mutter on Shabbos. But if it was designated to be used as a piggy bank, to hold his money, and there was money in it on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and he took it out of his bed, and comes along Shabbos, it would not be mutter to use because it's already designated. Now, Omar Ula. So says Ula. So Meisiv, let's right. So Meisiv, Rabbi Eliezer, or Rabbi Elazar, Muchni Shalom. Now we have a completely different case, nothing to do, only we're going to bring up at the end. We're talking about a case of a wagon that connected to wheels, that typically the wagon was not connected to the wheels. And so therefore there's different halachas when it comes to the wheels and the wagon, and we're about to list some. And the last one is going to be pertain to us. So let's get through the first part. So muchni shalom bisman shi nishmetes, right? In the times of it when it's not attached to it, right? Ein chibur lo, it's not considered to be part of it. The ein nimdada sima. it's not considered to be part of. In other words, the wagon is tame. It doesn't mean that the wheel is, right. And two items that touch each other are not necessarily tame, right? Because it has to be someone which is, which can transfer tuma, right? So it's not in terms of tuma. It's also not measured with it. Now, it's measured in terms of has to be a certain size, has to be 40 saw. Now, if the volume of it, right, when using the wagon without the wheels, right, is too large, right? So then it can't become tummy, right? So it has to be a kli, right? So if something is too large, what's too large? Too large means if it can displace 40 saw in a pool of water. So if the wagon by itself is 39 and a half, right? And the wheels are, 2 saw. So that doesn't add to it because they're detachable. So it's still considered to be kalim, right? And it's not considered part of it when it comes to oil mace when you're traveling over something that you cannot save the contents of in terms of the inside the wagon. It's not included, right, the space of the wheels. You can't go ahead and drag it on Shabbos. The wheel is on Shabbos. Now, what does this pertain to us? If there's money on a wheel, right? You can't go ahead and remove the wheel on Shabbos when there is money on it. Okay. Now, a wheel is not made for money, so if you have money on it, you can't go ahead and move it on Shabbos. Ha ein lamos sharia. But if it sounds like if there is no money on it, it would be mutter to move this wheel. And afal gav dehavi lev ben hashmashos. All right, and even though if there was it on it during ben hashmashos, right? If it was on during ben hashmashos, but the money was removed, it would be mutter to use. So, what do you mean? I thought we said earlier that as long as something if it was muksa during ben hashmashos, it's muksa later on. But over here it seems to say that even if though there was money on the wheel during ben hashmashos, as long as it's off later on, then you're allowed to go ahead and move the wheel. So the answer is no. Ha'i Rabbi Shimon. This is the opinion of Rabbi Shimon, the less lay muksa, who does not hold of most cases of muksa. So as long as the money is off, even though it was on earlier, you're right. So we'll just do a couple more lines. The Rav Rabbi Yehuda Sirle, and Rav he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. All right. In other words, right? We say over here, when's that? Rav holds Rav Rabbi Yehuda Sirle, right? So Hakanami Mistavin. This is also logical to say why the Rav Rabbi Yehuda Sirle. In other words, that what you said earlier. Right, Rav would hold like Rabbi Yehuda in a case of other cases of muksa. But over here, this brisa was going like Rabbi Shimon, and it's also logical to say that Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Why is that? We're just going to go a couple more lines, right? Why is it logical to say that Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda? The Svirle, the Amar Rav menichen ner al gabe dekel b'Shabbos, ve menichen ner al gabe dekel b'Yontif. One can go ahead and put a lit menorah, right, in a tree on Shabbos, but you can't do it on Yontif. Now, one is not allowed to go ahead and climb a tree on Shabbos or Yom Tov, okay? Because a person might go ahead and break a branch in order to go ahead and use the branch. Now, if there is no reason to use this menorah, then we have no problem putting a tree. So on Shabbos, if it's muksa, right, then there's no problem putting a tree because one's not going to go ahead and climb it because even after it goes out, it's still muksa. So therefore, you can put it on Shabbos because you're never going to go ahead and climb the tree. But on Yom Tov, where you can go ahead and use it, on Yom Tov, I'm going to come climb a tree. So therefore, they said you can go ahead and put a candle, right, or this menorah, right, in a tree on Shabbos, but on Yom Tov. Now, Iyamar to be Shlomo the Rabbi Yehuda Sfirle says hold that Rabbi holds like Rabbi Yehuda. It makes sense. Hainu the Shani ben Shabbos and Yom Tov. That makes sense between Shabbos and Yom Tov. Ela Iyamar to Rabbi Shimon Sfirle, but if you hold that Rab holds like Rabbi Shimon, who holds that it's that after the candle goes out on Shabbos, you can use it. Mali Shabbos, Mali Yom Tov. What does it make a difference? Shabbos or Yom Tov? Either way should be usher because either way you can go ahead and climb the tree. So Gemara says, I, the Rav Rabbi Yehuda Sfirle, Rav holds like Rabbi Yehuda, V'ha boy minei, the Rav, he was asked from Rav, Mahu tatal shraga de chanukia makme de chavre de Shabbosa. Are you allowed to go ahead and move your menorah after the candles go out because of the chavri on Shabbos? Now the chavri was the people, I guess during the times of the Persians, they didn't want candles to be lit and they saw your menorah in the window, you get in trouble. So after my candles go out, can I move my menorah so they don't see it? V'amar lahu shapir dami. And he says Rav says you can take it down. So why Rav say it down? If it was according to Rabbi Yehuda, it'd still be muksa. According to Rabbi Shimon, after it goes out, it's not muksa. So I thought he holds like Rabbi Shimon. So Rav says no. Shas Adchak Shani. During a
What
time
about
of,
Sakanas Tefashos?
right, so during a time of Shas Adchak is different. The whole Amar Le Rav Khan Ravashi, Ravashi the Rav. So Rav Khan and Ravashi both said to Rav. Hachilkos this halacha. So Amar Lu Kadaihu Rabbi Shimon Lismach Le B'Shas Adchak. Even though normally you're right, we hold like Rabbi Huda that it's muksa, but during a Shas Adchak, such as where it could become dangerous, Hatzalas Nefashos, so therefore we allow one to go ahead and move it and to be samech on the Mekel opinion of Rabbi Shimon. And we will stop over here. Yeshikoyach, everybody, and we even got a little into tomorrow's daf. Everyone have a wonderful day. Stay safe. Thank everyone for coming.
Everyone have a good day. Survival.
Survival is, yep.